Welcome to the annual fall semester orientation. If you're a returning resident, you know that this forum looks a little different from our typical orientation meeting hosted in the event center on our 8th floor. We hope that you'll bear with us as we adapt to the new method in which delivery of information has become the norm. If you're a new resident, however, welcome and thank you for joining us. We're certain the information that we'll be sharing tonight will be useful to you and hopefully a bit of fun. My name is Matthew Fleming, and I'm the Director, Housing and Residence Life for Centennial Place. I'm joined this evening by my Assistant Director, Andrew Zettel, our Leasing Manager, Stephen Valgaris, and our Residence Life Coordinator, Sanique Morris. Together this evening, we're going to ensure that you're prepared for the year ahead, kept apprised of some important information and updates, and given all the resources that you'll need to succeed in residence this year. Before we begin the content and updates, I want to just quickly go around the table and introduce the staff, as well as note some equally important team members who won't be joining us for this virtual orientation, but play a special part of your residence experience. Those folks are our bookkeeper, Lily Hu, our maintenance manager, Nick Milev, our sales manager, Kelly Dong, and as well as the front desk leasing assistants, Christy, Non, Christina, Sagar, Paula, Masope, and Jamila. Our residence assistants, Eric, Armin, Kyla, Faye, and Gabby. And our phenomenal maintenance and housekeeping staff, Ferdy, Jerry, Beverly, Barb, Shema, and Abdul. We're a small but mighty team, and our role is to ensure that your success in residence during your post-secondary studies make your stay as positive and memorable as possible. So Andrew, what are you most excited for this year?
Oh, thank you, Matt, and good evening to everyone. I'm Andrew, the Assistant Director here in the residence, and I'm sure most of you will have gotten a couple of emails from me already. I'm very excited for all of the challenges and opportunities that this academic year will provide, especially as our province of Ontario continues to reopen businesses and services. But I am mostly excited for the release of the new James Bond movie, No Time to Die, in November, because it's been delayed too long. And I'm a huge James Bond fan, and I love going to the movie theater. And if anyone hasn't seen the latest trailer for No Time to Die, it was released last week, you have to check it out. It is awesome. Steve, how about you?
Hi, everybody. As Matt said, my name is Stephen Valgaris, and I'm the leasing manager here. And most of you would have had some sort of correspondence or emails from me throughout the summer, last fall, all through up until maybe just last week. And what I'm most excited for is the move-in day, and then September is my most exciting time. I went to university to become a teacher, so September excitement has always been my bread and butter, and I'm super excited to meet every single one of you and to see kind of what this year has to hold. It's definitely interesting and new, as Andrew had pointed out, but I'm super excited to see where this year goes and what sort of memories we make for 2020, 2021. Sanique, how about you?
Hey everyone, my name is Sanique and I'm the Residence Life Coordinator. I am very excited to meet you all virtually and hopefully in person soon as we all work together with my new team to give you an amazing Res Life experience as we navigate our way through this new normal.
Excellent. All right, folks. Well, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of some of the important information so that you can enjoy the rest of your evening. COVID-19 has demanded that residences around the globe adapt to a new normal, which has resulted in changes to staffing, access to amenity spaces, programming and events typically hosted in person, moving to virtual formats, and more. Centennial Place is no different, and we hope that our community members will work with us to support the safe and secure reopening of our spaces, reintroducing of privileges, and a return to some semblance of normalcy that we've all grown accustomed to at college and university this year. Some very important items to note this year, at least for the time being, are to follow. So first, and perhaps most important, at this time, unfortunately, residents are not permitted guests at Centennial Place. Regrettably, this also includes parents or siblings, significant others, or visiting friends. This is a strict policy that will be enforced by management and, if broken, has the potential to result in eviction from residents. Now, none of us desire this from or for our community members, so please treat this policy with the utmost respect and help us to keep our residents safe by reducing the size of our distancing bubble to folks within the building. Second, and of equal importance to our residents, I'm sure, amenity spaces. Currently, they are to remain closed, but we're hopeful to see a limited and select reopening of some spaces very soon. While at this time, there is no date or time, rest assured that the management staff, Andrew, Stephen, Sanique, and myself are working closely with Centennial College and the various steering committees and campus security to ensure a phased and safe reopening of our amenity spaces for you all. As soon as a decision has been made to reopen the spaces, the community will be notified of the procedures required for their safe use. Finally, in addition to the measures which have been implemented and upheld by Centennial Place staff, we ask that each resident also take seriously their personal responsibility towards the maintenance of a collaborative and healthy environment for students and staff alike. To this end, we're requiring residents to wear masks in all common spaces, including corridors and hallways, the residence lobby, our grab-and-go micro market, and the main lounge. Please respect municipal, provincial, and federal guidelines and legislation about physical distancing and remain 2 meters or 6 feet apart from your peers. We know that it's not always easy, but we are firm believers that physical distancing need not equate to social distancing. We want our resident community members to engage in activities hosted virtually by the Residence Life staff and to connect with one another and form meaningful relationships with friends, old and new, while maintaining a short physical distance while in person. Each of us has a role to play in keeping COVID-19 away from Centennial Place, and this responsibility only works for all of us if all of us are working towards this goal. Andrew, would you like to share some of the key info with our residents about the services that we offer at Centennial Place to support the community?
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. So I want to take some time to highlight a couple of our services as well as some tips and tricks to be really successful as a community member here at Centennial Place. First up, as many of you are aware, we have 24/7 desk staff support. So our reception desk in the main lobby is available night and day to greet residents, answer questions, and assist as they are able. Just note that our main office and our bookkeeping office operate during regular business hours, typically around 9 to 5 during Monday to Friday. So if you have a question or request outside of business hours and the front desk assistant requires confirmation from office staff, we may need follow-up with you during the business hours, okay? But for sign-in, equipment sign-out, mail and packages, questions about your lease, or just a friendly face to chat with, our front desk reception is here to help. Speaking of mail and packages, our front desk utilizes a system called Notify to log packages. So all of your Amazon deliveries will arrive at our front desk. They'll be logged by the front desk staff, and then you will receive an email notification to come down and retrieve the package. For smaller mail, letters, postcards, etc., each of the units in the residence here has a mailbox. Now that's located in the main lobby just across from the grab and go market. And this year we've given keys out to all of the residents for those mailboxes so that you can check your mailbox at your leisure. So take good care of that key because just like your other keys, it will need to be returned when you move out. On the topic of keys, I just want to review the different keys that we have for the residents. So your HID card, which I can helpfully demonstrate here for all of our newer residents, is this card right here that says HID on it. This grants you access to the front door and the speed gates found in the lobby. Now your Salto card, a little bit different here, grants you access to the laundry room, the stairwell doors, the common areas, and your unit door. As Matt mentioned, we have some common spaces that aren't available right now, so don't fret if your card isn't working on those, but do test it on all of those other access points. You have a larger hard key, which would look something like this. That would be for your bedroom door. And then as I mentioned, that smaller physical key is your mailbox key. So between those, take good care of them and return them, because a lost access card will cost you $20 plus tax, and a lost hard key is $50 plus tax. And that's just to cover our costs of replacement and whatnot. We want to make sure everyone has a secure community and is not losing those access keys and cards. Right now, as part of the response, we are being very diligent about who we allow in the residence building, as Matt alluded to. So we want to keep the community secure, and we're asking that every resident tap their My Card, that's the student card, at the front desk My Card reader when entering or exiting the building. Now, if you don't have a physical My Card, we have a red binder at the front desk that you can sign in, and our front desk staff can help you with that process. But again, we know that it's a bit of an inconvenience. It's just so that we understand who is coming in and out of the building, and that we can have that kind of record so that we can keep our building secure and minimize the risk of infection or of spread. We appreciate your cooperation with this and all of our policies that are related to the COVID-19 pandemic. It really helps us. Another thing that is incredibly helpful for us and for you is that we have accurate contact information for all of our residents. So some of you may be getting a new cell phone or just a new local number that you've moved here to Scarborough, and it's very important that we have that number on file so that we can contact you if there's an issue with your lease, or you haven't picked up a package on time, or for any number of reasons. And we want to make sure that we have your preferred email address on file. We know that some people have multiple email addresses, and we want to make sure that we have the best email address to contact you with. So if you have changed your cell phone number or switched to a new preferred email address, please come down to the reception desk and get that information updated in our records. Now, when you moved into your unit, you were asked to complete a unit condition form. Some of our former residents would understand, our returning residents would understand that this was typically a paper form, and this year was an electronic unit condition form. And this helps us assess the state of your unit when you arrive. That includes all of your common spaces and your bedroom. And this year's UCF, or unit condition form, also included the acknowledgement of your receipt of keys, which is why it was so important to complete. But throughout the year, if there are issues in your unit, if your blinds get stuck, or the smoke detector needs new batteries, or the light bulb is burnt out, you'll need to submit a work order. So this is a different electronic document. The work order goes to our maintenance team, who can assess and fix the issue in your unit. Submitting a work order is very, very easy. Just go to our website, centennial-place.ca, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll find 3 buttons there. Apply now, submit a work order, and make a payment. You'll obviously click the submit a work order button, and it'll take you to the work order form. Very important on the work order form to check off the little box that says permission to enter the room. This will allow our maintenance team to enter and complete the necessary work. Now, the maintenance team is more than happy to help with the work orders like I've just laid out, and our housekeeping team works very hard to clean the units before your arrival and to clean all the common spaces regularly. But it is your responsibility to keep your unit clean during your time here. And keeping your unit clean will really help you have a good relationship with your roommates. So don't let those dirty dishes pile up. Wash them right after cooking, and don't leave things lying around the common areas. Make sure to tidy up regularly. It might be helpful to come up with a little schedule of cleaning the bathroom and kitchen appliances and taking the garbage and recycling to the garbage room on your floor, so that you and your roommate can take turns helping out with that cleaning work. Also, head down to the dollar store or grocery store for some air fresheners, typically cost $1 or $2, some surface cleaning supplies, and a simple vacuum cleaner or a mop. These will really help you keep a clean and fresh smelling home to come back to each day. When we inspect suites during move-outs, we have seen some pretty terrible units. and not only the management staff, but some of our RAs can attest to this. There have been some very dirty, smelly units that we have gone into. And if the garbage hasn't been removed, or if the unit requires a professional cleaning after we've done our inspection, we will apply account charges to residents responsible. And nobody really wants to live with roommates in a dirty space, and we don't want to leave filthy units for our housekeeping to clean after the fact. So please do your part and keep the community clean. Those are the main things I wanted to highlight, but I just want to say again that if you've received emails from me, if we've been in touch, I always like putting a face to a name. So come on by the office, even for a social, physically distant chat, or send me an email if you have any questions. Again, I'm really glad you've chosen to be a part of our Centennial Place community, and I hope you enjoy your time with us. Now, Steve, tell us a little bit more about our Centennial Place lease agreements.
Thank you, Andrew. And hello, everybody. Welcome to our orientation. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the document that all of you signed, which is the reason why you're all here today, the lease agreement. So for those of you that don't know, the lease agreement is a legally binding document that allows you to live at Centennial Place for the duration of time as listed on the agreement. This document binds you, the resident, and us, the landlord, to a standard conditions and expectations that will be met throughout the lease term, so throughout your stay here. It is an expectation that all students have read their lease agreement in full and understand what is expected of them and what their expectations of us are throughout this lease term. Reading your lease agreement is also just really good practice. Once you move out of Centennial Place, you're moving into, let's say, the working world. Reading your contract or reading anything that is in writing is extremely good practice, because that just means you know all of the expectations and the conditions of what you signed. We have had students that have moved out come back and said, man, I really wish, or you guys taught me that I need to read what I'm signing, because it really does make a difference moving forward. Now about the document. So the document is composed of two kind of main parts: the cover page, which is which all of you would have signed, and the 8 pages of the lease body that come after that. Now the cover page is, has all the specific information. So it's got your name and your guarantor's name, our address. So a lot of the students that are looking for permanent or proof of permanent address, let's say to open up a bank account, this will be your best friend to help you with that. It also has your lease and start date, your unit, or like your unit type or suite type, and then your payment schedule. This is a very important piece of paper, very important a form of information that will help you throughout your stay here at Centennial Place. Now, the body is made up of 64 sections. I'm going to try and outline a couple of them to you, just to make sure that everything's clear moving forward here while you're living. So without further ado, the first one really is on the first page, and it's not really a section, but it is written in all capital letters because it is important, and it is the signing acknowledgement. So the signing acknowledgement, paraphrased, means that when one person signs the agreement, whether it's the student or the guarantor, they acknowledge they've read the agreement in full and they understand the agreement, and it becomes a binding contract between the resident and the manager. Why this is important is because as soon as the signature's on there, you are held to the full conditions of the agreement. And that's where a lot of students have a lot of questions and concerns about what they've signed. So what we want our students to do is read prior to signing to make sure that they understand everything of what they are signing to. So the next section that I really want to go through, and this is by far the section we get the most amount of questions about. So because of that, I'm going to read the full thing out verbatim as what's listed in the agreement. So this is Section 7, Releases from Agreement. All requests for early release must be made in writing to the manager and request for release will be responded to in writing within 7 business days of receipt. Residents will be released from the residence agreement subject to applicable penalties if one of the following applies. A, residence is denied admission to Centennial College. B, residence is denied a study permit or visa. C, resident is withdrawn from or is not enrolled in classes prior to the start of the residence agreement with secondary verification of non-enrollment made on the 30th day or class day of the semester. And lastly, D, resident is able to obtain a replacement for their lease who meets all requirements set out in paragraph 1, eligibility, and who has not previously applied to live at Centennial Place. Manager must approve all lease replacements. If approved, upon termination of this agreement, the resident may be entitled to a partial refund of the resident's fees without interest. The refund will be in the form of a check mailed to the resident's permanent address on file. Refunds will be calculated on a prorated daily basis if the agreement term has already begun. All cancellations will be subject to an administrative fee equal to the total of the resident's security deposit. Residents who do not meet one of the above criteria for release are held responsible for their agreement until such a time that they satisfy one of the criteria for release. If during the term of this residence agreement a resident no longer meets the eligibility requirements set out in paragraph 1 by withdrawing, both voluntarily or involuntarily, they will be required to vacate their assigned room immediately. This does not limit or reduce residents' financial obligations as outlined in paragraph 1 of the residence agreement until such a time that they satisfy one of the criteria for release. That's a lot of words, but breaking that down in short, what it outlines is that unless you meet one of the outlined criteria, denied admission, denied study permit or visa, withdrawn, or finds a replacement, we are unable to provide a contractual release from the agreement. Now, with regards to relets, students are able to advertise on online platforms. So Kijiji, Places for Students, Rentboard, Facebook Marketplace are all great examples where students can advertise that they want to give up their space at Centennial Place and have someone take it over. Now, this is a complete transfer or complete replacement. Once the student moves in, the new student moves in, the old one is completely released from Centennial Place. I also want to bring attention to a few more sections for all of you to review on your own. These are sections that I'm not going to read verbatim, but you all should kind of look at in your own lease agreement. And if you don't have your lease agreement, come and get one. I'm the manager of all leases at the building, and I'm more than happy to have a student come down and request a copy of their signed lease agreement for them to reference at a later time. So some important sections. Section 6, residence fees. That'll outline all of your contractual obligations to paying residence fees. Section 9, personal property insurance that you should all have while living here at Centennial. Section 25, cleaning and pests. Andrew touched on this a little bit prior to about keeping the unit clean and what is required of you living here to keeping your space sanitary. Section 38, right of entry. So this is good to know about where the manager can enter into, on what basis can the manager enter into your space while you have the lease agreement. And Section 64, parent or sponsor agreement. So this outlines the role of your guarantor. You all would have need to have a guarantor sign the agreement. This outlines what is the purpose and what are their obligations when you live here. All of the sections are important. However, there are sections that are more so immediately important to you living here at Centennial Place and the expectations of you while you're living here. We want to make sure that everybody has a comfortable time living with us, and that starts with the understanding the expectations of the lease. So moving on, as many of you know, when you moved in, not all of your roommates may be present. And due to the mass amounts of programs that have gone online at Centennial College, we've provided students the ability to defer their agreement until a time where at least one class resumes in person. Now, the deadline to defer has already passed, as it was August 10th. However, we want to remind you all that it is likely that in January you will get further roommates, those that have deferred in January and those that will be signing for our January intake. And lastly, this is a bit of a reminder to all students, but also a piece, I guess, of professional development for a lot of students just entering into college life. We want to pass along a reminder about email etiquette. As being the recipient of a lot of emails from a lot of students that, whether past, present, or future, have come into or will be coming into the building, we are all kind of seeing a trend of a lack thereof of email etiquette. And we want to kind of reiterate what that looks like. So the first thing, and a lot of this, as a reminder, a lot of this we put in place so that we can better help you. So there are 3 parts to a well-formatted email. The first part is a greeting, hi, hello, the recipient's name, so it might be me, so hi, Stephen, comma. The next line, you begin your email with the purpose of your email, and always, always, always proofread. That's something that even on professional side, you always want to proofread your emails before sending. You want to make sure your message is clear, concise, and isn't, rambling on about different things. The most important is sign off with your name at the end, and this becomes a bit of a pet peeve for me because I don't know everybody's email off by heart, right? I don't know what email is to what name, and it really becomes difficult to have to track down who am I speaking to with just an email if you don't sign off with your name. So these are the main 3 parts that everybody should know and everybody should be sending off their email to. And my kind of rule of thumb is that you want to be sending emails how you would your employer before getting the job, right? You want to make sure that you are providing this professional and best experience to whoever you're emailing. And if you'd be willing to send a 1-line email to an employer when you're trying to get a job with them, then that's a problem. But enough for really the boring stuff. My section is very dry. I want to pass it along to someone that will really add a lot of the life and the fun with living at Centennial Place. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this over to our Residence Life Coordinator, Sanique Morris.
Okay, so yep, time for the fun stuff. So as Stephen, Matt, and Andrew have said, and myself, I'm the Residence Life Coordinator, and I manage the Residence Life staff. So a little bit more about the Residence Life staff. We are comprised of upper year student leaders who are here to help guide and support you on your journey for the duration of your lease while living here at Centennial Place. We're also in charge of hosting events and activities, and we're hoping that this year, although it's virtual, you'll join in and help us to maintain the best and inclusive community atmosphere for all. In addition to our the programs and events that we do, we are also in charge of conflicts, because those do arise. So there are times that roommates just don't get along, and we have created this contract called the suite mate contract or the roommate agreement, which will help to curb those little nuances that may arise within your units. Now this helps each roommate to acknowledge their boundaries, their needs and wants while living together, and so the best living atmosphere can be achieved by all. Additionally, our RAs are trained on roommate conflicts, so if ever a time you need a mediation because you and your roommate are not getting along or you're fighting, we're here to assist you and help everyone to get on the same page once more. But it is very important that when we're there to help you mediate a situation, that you realize that it's within you and your roommate to help fix that issue, and then the sole responsibility is on you. We're just there to help the process. Now, this year, we've also added a little bit of more fluff to our handbook in terms of the conducts and the conduct system that we have here. Now, although there will be no physical copies of our handbooks this year that's given to you, you've all received in your welcome package sheets with a QR code with all our, different platforms that you will get our handbooks or a unit condition form. So if you have the time, and I suggest that you do this, you should just scan that handbook code and read through that handbook. Trust me, you won't regret it. You'll be on the same page as us. So like I said, this year we've created the points-based system for the building, and each rule or policy that's outlined in the residence handbook and the lease agreement has a specific number of points. Now, each point, once it has accumulated to a certain number, you will be meeting with different members of management to talk about the different levels at which you're at. So with an accumulation of 5 points, you'll be meeting with me. We'll be having a little conduct meeting, talk about the situation. If it's above 5 points, let's say 8 points, you'll be meeting with the assistant director, which is Andrew. And if it's more than 9 points, you'll be meeting with Matthew to talk about your conduct history and the possibility of eviction. So like I said, just given the time, we don't want to evict anyone. So take some time, read through the handbook, and just be in the know. It's better to be in the know than to be called into my office to have a serious conversation. I don't want to have serious conversations, but if I have to, I will. I'm all about the fun stuff. So about more fun stuff. So like I said before, we're in charge of programming and community engagement. So what that will look like, or what that has looked like for us in the past, is a lot of in-person programs in our amenity spaces. But this year it's going to look a little bit different, hopefully for a short period of time due to the COVID-19. So everything right now will be done virtually through our social media platforms. Again, you would have received our sheets of paper with the QR codes. Our social media QR code is on that as well. So I'll advise everyone to just scan that, follow us, join in on the action and the fun. And we hope that, you will be there to help bring our programs to life, because we've put so much effort and so much thought for all the programs that we're going to be hosting, and we want you to help us make it a success. So just join us. Right now we're having our orientation week programs coming up this week, so you should have also received what that calendar of events look like, the time and where to join us. So please just join us. And if you do have any ideas for programs that you would like to see, do not hesitate to let your RAs know, or just send me an email, or just send the email to our general inbox, and we'll make sure that we make that program specific for you. So on to some other things that we have with the Res Live department. So we're looking at live-in learning communities. Now, at the beginning of the the semester, when we were asking you guys to sign your leases or just gauging your interest in living here with us, you would have received a couple of emails also gauging your interest in our live and learning communities. Now, those are little small groups of communities that cater specific to the title or the topic of what that community look like. So for this year, our live and learning communities are health and wellness, fine arts, and internationals and Canadians United. Now, these communities, again, unfortunately have been affected by COVID and will be virtually, but needless to say, we will make sure that it's engaging and inclusive as if it were in person. If you are interested in learning more about our live and learning communities, or want to be a part of the live and learning communities, just send an email to our general inbox and we'll get right back to you with some information and get you started in living with us in those communities. So another thing that Res Life is focused on is our residence council. We want to kickstart our residence council the right way this year, and although it may be a little bit late in the game, we still want to push forward with it, and it will be virtual as well. So an excellent way for getting involved in Residence Live is through the council. The driving force of the council basically is to offer a platform for students to voice their concerns, promote their ideas, or to help with social programming in the residence. The best thing about being on the council is that it is a great way to develop your leadership and communication skills, and you get to meet a lot of people while living in the center of all the excitement. Like, why not, right? Generally, there are 14 members on the council, but this year we're only seeking 3 members for the position of the president, the vice president, and the secretary. If you are interested in learning more about the Residence Council this year, just hang tight, look out for more information, as we'll be having an information session, campaigns, and elections very soon. Last thing that I want to talk about is our monthly newsletter. Or my Residence Live staff, they put so much hard work into making this monthly newsletter for you to browse, for you to stay engaged, and for you to see what's happening in Res Life and what has happened in Res Life. So each month we hope to feature one of our fine residents. So if you feel like you want to be that resident, please don't hesitate to be a part of that movement. Send us your ideas, your pictures, your story that we can get to share with others to our general inbox. And you can find each of our monthly newsletter by clicking that link on our social media, well, Instagram, which will take you directly to our newsletter hub. If you don't know what our Instagram URL is, it's at Centennial Residence at Centennial Res 1. That's all from me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sanique. Folks, that's it for our fall orientation. We've taken up a little over 45 minutes of your time, but we're so glad that you could join us. Before we depart, we wanted to engage the community that participated with us this evening for a little scavenger hunt. Each of us that's spoken this evening has created a fun bulletin board placed on one of our community floors. Each board tells a little bit more about us as individuals so that you'll have the opportunity to get to know your management a little bit better. But each board also has a hidden letter that, when combined and unscrambled, represents Centennial Place to each of us, and we hope to each of you. Check out the boards and message our Instagram, as Sanique mentioned, at Centennial Res 1 to let us know the answer. If you find something that you like on the boards about any of us, we'll also be hosting a Meet the Management distanced Zoom call at the end of orientation week as a live opportunity for any interested residents to get to know us all on both a personal and professional level. We look forward to connecting with many of you this year, and we hope that you'll enjoy your time in the center of it all. Take care and good night.